This is Dr. Percy J. Sefra, Assistant Professor, Department of EC, Bharat Institute of Higher Education and Research. In this video lecture, we are going to see about the multiple access techniques in the cellular mobile communication system. So basically, the access technologies which came into arouse into the technological field due to the problem that came in the cellular system that boils down the way of sharing the common pool of the radio channels between the users. The user can gain access to any channel. That is, each user is not always assigned to a specific channel. A channel, what it defines is that it is a portion of limited radio resource which is temporarily available for a specific purpose. So for each radio access purpose, we will be assigning a limited radio resource which is termed as a channel. Multiple access method is how the radio spectrum is divided into radio channels and how the channels are allocated to many users of the system. So the multiple access in the multiple access method, the given available, that is the available radio spectrum is divided into the channels, and these channels are allocated to many users of the system. So sharing of the spectrum is required to achieve high capacity and also simultaneously allocating available bandwidth to multiple users. So the multiple users are, as we know that there are multiple users using the multiple radio access technology, so there should be no traffic in the spectrum of radio signals, and there should be a proper sharing of the spectrum so as to achieve the high capacity. So when coming to the access technology, there are three possible multiple access techniques. First is a frequency division multiple access, and second one is the time division multiple access, which is termed as TDMA. And the third one is the code division multiple access. So in a frequency division multiple access, a particular set of frequency is being used throughout a system. For a particular user, a particular frequency is being allocated. So in time division multiple access, a particular time slot is made available for the user in a channel to make access between the throughout the entire conversation. And in case of the code division multiple access, a particular code is being assigned to each user. So we'll see about each of these multiple access techniques briefly. So when coming to this frequency division multiple access, individual channel is allocated to individual user. You could see the user 1 could use this individual channel. So user 2 is allocated a individual channel, and a user 3 is allocated a individual channel. So to provide a communication between a person to person through FDMA, a individual channel is being allocated between the user to the user at the other end. So the user is allocated a unique frequency channel. So unique frequency channel is allocated between the user. The channels are allocated on demand to the subscriber who requests a service. For example, if I am requesting, if I am making a call, that means which I am making a request. So there will be a channel which will be allocated to me on demand. So the guard bands are provided between the adjacent spectral signals. So between the adjacent spectral signals, between these user 1 and user 2, there will be a guard band which will be provided. This guard bands are provided to prevent the crosstalk between the channels. So during a period of call, no other user can utilize the same frequency band. Suppose if I am the user 1 and I am using the frequency channel 1, and if some other user wants to make use of the channel that I am using, only when I keep the call, the other user could use the same frequency band. So this is the technique. Okay, in frequency division multiple access, this is what happens. In frequency division duplex, each user is allocated a channel as a pair of frequency. So one frequency is allocated for upward channel and the other frequency is used for the downward channel. The FDMA channel carries only one phone circuit at a time. If a FDMA channel is not in use, that is, if a no call is being made through this FDMA channel, then it sits idle and cannot be used by the other user to increase your share capacity. So whenever a channel remains idle, it will not be used by the other user. So if other user is making use of the channel that I'm using while it is not being used, it could be like increasing the capacity, but this is not happening and it is remaining as a wasted resource. So the channel that I'm using, and if I'm not using it a particular time, it will remain idle and it could not be used by the other user, and hence it remains as a wasted resource. So after the assignment of this FDMA channel, the base station and the mobile transmit simultaneously and continuously. So after the assignment of the FDMA channel, there is a continuous and a simultaneous transmission of the signals from the base station to the mobile. So the bandwidth of the FDMA channels are relatively low, that is about 30 kilohertz, as each channel supports only one circuit per carrier. So that is FDMA is usually implemented as a narrowband system. So only a narrow band of frequency is being utilized, as each channel is supporting only one circuit per carrier. The intersymbol time is very large when compared to average delay spread. So this implies that intersymbol interference is very low, and this little or low equalization is required in FDMA narrowband system. So intersymbol interference is very low, and also there is a necessity for low equalization in the FDMA narrowband system. Also, the complexity of FDMA system is very low compared to TDMA. Since FDMA is continuous transmission scheme, that is, we are continuously and simultaneously, there is a transmission of signal from the base station and the mobile unit. Only a few bits are required for overhead purposes. So overhead in the sense for synchronization and framing, there will be a overhead bits, and in case of FDMA, there are only few bits are required for overhead when compared to the TDMA system. TDMA has higher cell site system cost as compared to TDMA system because of single channel per carrier design, and they need to use costly bandpass filters. So in FDMA system, the higher cell site system cost is very higher when compared to the TDMA, because we need a costly bandpass filter to eliminate the spurious radiation at the base station. In order to avoid the radiation, a bandpass, that is a costly bandpass filter, is also required at the base station. And this FDMA mobile unit uses duplexers are needed. So since the transmitters and receivers are operating at the same time, there is a need for the duplexer. So this is also providing an increased cost of the FDMA subscriber unit at the base station. So we'll be needing a bandpass filter, costly bandpass filter at the base station to eliminate the spurious radiation. Also, in case of the subscriber unit, there will be need of the duplexer, since the transmitter and the receivers are operating at the same time. Now the FDMA requires tight RF filtering to avoid the adjacent channel interference. Also, there will be a interference between the adjacent channels. In order to avoid that, there will be also requirement of the tight RF filtering. So there are many non-linear effects in this FDMA. So in FDMA, many channels share the same antenna at the base station. At the base station, he'll be having the antenna, and these antenna is being used by many channels. So the power amplifier or the power combiners, when operated at or near the saturation for maximum power efficiency, are non-linear. So when these power amplifiers are operated, the saturation, the level, it could not be used beyond that. So the at the saturation or near the saturation, for in order to attain this maximum power efficiency, there is a non-linearity which is occurring while using this FDMA technique. The non-linearities cause the signal spreading in the frequency domain, and this in turn would result in intermodulation frequency. So this intermodulation frequency, it is an undesired radio frequency radiation which could interfere with the other channel. As the name says, it is like intermodulation frequency. So this is an modulation which is occurring in inner side, and it could affect the other channels in the FDMA system. The spreading of the spectrum also result in adjacent channel interference. So the intermodulation is generation of undesirable harmonics. So these harmonics are generated outside the mobile radio band. It could cause the interference to the adjacent services, like from one service to the other service, there will be an interference, while those which is present inside the band, that is also causing the interference to other users in the mobile system. So the first analog cellular system was introduced in US, and it was named as Advanced Mobile Phone System, and it is based on this FDMA FDD. So in this, a single user occupies a single channel while the call is in progress. And the single channel is two simple channels which are frequency duplexed with the 45 MHz split. So A single user will be capable of using a single channel while the call is in progress, and the single channel has two simple channels. Inside the single channel there will be two simple channels which are duplexed with a 45 megahertz split. Once the call is completed or when a handoff occurs, the channel is vacated, so other mobile subscriber may use it. So if I'm making a call and if I'm cutting the call, and now this channel will be made available to other user to use the particular channel frequency. So the multiple or simultaneous user are accommodated in advanced mobile phone system by giving each user a unique channel. The signals are sent on the forward channel from base station to the mobile unit, and the reverse signals from the mobile unit to the base station. In advanced mobile phone system, analog narrowband frequency modulation is used to modulate the carrier. So the number of channels that can be simultaneously supported in the FDMA system is usually given by the formula like n is equal to bt minus 2 b guard divided by bc. So the bt is called the total spectrum allocation, and b guard is the guard band allocated at the edges of the allocated spectrum. So at the edges of the spectrum will be provided a guard band at the front end and the back end. So bc is called the channel bandwidth. So by making a difference of total spectrum allocation and two times the guard band. Since the guard band is provided at the front end and the back end, so we are taking is twice the guard band divided by the channel total bandwidth. So next is the time division multiple axis. In time division multiple axis, we are dividing the radio spectrum into time slot, and each slot only one user is allowed to transmit or receive. So you could see from this figure, user 1, user 2, user 3, user 4. So each of the user is provided a time slot in a given radio spectrum. So in each user, a given time slot is provided in which it could either transmit or receive the signal. So each user occupies a cyclically repeating time slot. So a channel may be thought as a particular time slot that reoccur after every frame. So this is a frame. This frame where n time slots are there. So there are n number of time slot, and these n number of time slot refers to a frame. So the TDMA system transmit data in a buffer and burst method. Thus the transmission of for any user is non-continuous. So the transmission of the data is very non-continuous, and the transmission of data is taking place by buffer and burst method. This implies that unlike in FDMA system which accommodate analog signal, in FDMA system only analog signals are accommodated, while in TDMA system digital data and digital modulation must be used with the TDMA system. The transmission from various user interlace into a repeating frame structure. So this is a frame in which there are number of time slots, and this is what it is describing. So the transmission from various user is interlaced into a repeating frame structure. Each frame is made up of consider this is a frame. It's made up of a preamble, an information message, and the tail bits. In TDMA time division duplex, half of the time slot in the frame information message should be used for forward link channels, and half of the time slots would be used for the reverse link channels. This is what happens in the TDMA TDD system. So in TDMA FDD, that is an identical or similar frame structure would be used solely for either forward and reverse transmission, but the carrier frequency would be different for either for the forward and the reverse links. In time division multiple access FDD systems, intentionally induces several time slots of delay between the forward and the reverse time slots of the particular user. So there is a times delay between the forward time slot and a reverse time slot, so that will not be requiring any duplexer. Where in case of FDMA system, we said like there is a need for the duplexer, since to transmit the data from the base station to the mobile unit. Where in case of the TDMA system, the duplexer is avoided by intentionally inducing time slots of delay between the forward and the reverse time slots. So in a TDMA frame, the preamble contains access and the synchronization information that both the base station and the subscriber use to identify each other. So the guard times are utilized to allow synchronization of the receiver between the different time slots and the frames. So as we said, like guard times are provided at either at the front and the back end. So they are utilized to allow synchronization of the receiver between different time slots and frames. So different TDMA wireless standards have been having a different TDMA frame structures. So the features, we see the features of 3DMA system. The TDMA system, they shares a single carrier frequency with several users, where each user can make use of a non-overlapping time slot. Each user will be using non-overlapping time slots will be given to each user. So the number of time slots per frame depends on several factors like modulation technique, available bandwidth, etc. So the data transmission for users of a DDMA system is not continuous but occurs in a burst. So it is not continuous but it will be occurring in burst. This results in low battery consumption since the subscriber transmitter can be turned off and not in use. So since when the call is not in progress or the data transmission is not occurring, you could the user could consume the battery power since the subscriber transmitter could be turned off when it is not in use. Because of the non-discontinuous transmission in TDMA, the handoff process is much simpler for a subscriber unit since it is able to listen to other base station during the ideal time slots. So when the time slot, particular time slot is not being used, the handoff process is much simpler for a subscriber unit since the other base station could be used during the time slots which are remaining idle. So enhanced link control such as that provided by the mobile assisted handoff can be carried out by the subscriber by listening on an idle time slot in the TDMA frame. Also this TDMA uses different time slots for transmission and reception, and hence duplexes are not required even if FDD, that is frequency division duplex, is used as a switch rather than a duplexer inside a subscriber unit. Is that it required to switch between the transmitter and receiver using this TDMA. So adaptive equalization is usually necessary in this TDMA system since the transmission rates are generally very high as compared to this FDMA channels. The guard time should also be minimized. If the transmitted signal at the edge of the time slot are suppressed sharply in order to shorten the guard time, the transmitted spectrum will expand, and the expansion of this transmitted spectrum will cause the interference to the adjacent channels. So the high synchronization overhead is recorded in the TDMA system because of this burst transmission. As we said, like it is carrying by burst transmission, we require a high synchronization overhead. So in TDMA, transmissions are slotted as we each user is provided a time slot. This requires the receiver to be synchronized for each data burst. So the receiver and the transmitter should be synchronized for each data burst, and in addition, guard slots are necessary to separate the users. Since each user is provided different time slot, the guard slot is necessary between each user, and this results in TDMA system having the larger overhead as compared to FDMA system. So this TDMA system has an advantage is that it is possible to allocate a different number of time slots per frame to different user. So in a particular frame, we could use you can utilize the frame in a different number of time slots for different user. The bandwidth can be supplied on demand to different user by concatenating or reassigning the time slot based on priority. So based on the priority to different user, we could also provide the bandwidth or by concatenating or reassigning the time slots. So the efficiency of this TDMA system, it is a measure of percentage of data transmitted that contains the information as opposed to provide overhead for the access key. So the frame efficiency eta f is a percentage of bits per frame which contain the transmitted data. So efficiency always describes that the maximum amount of performance given by a system. So the efficiency, frame efficiency is defined by is the percentage of bits per frame which contain the transmitted data. Note that the transmitted data may include the source and the channel coding bits. So the raw end user efficiency of the system is generally less than eta f. So we could also calculate the number of overhead bits per frame by using this formula. BOH is equal to NRBR plus NTBP NTBG plus NRBG. So NR is defining the number of reference bursts per frame. NT is the number of traffic bursts per frame. BR is the number of overhead bits per reference burst, and BP is the number of overhead bits per preamble. So preamble is there, so we'll be getting a preamble overhead bits, and BG is the number of equivalent bits in each guard time interval. We could also calculate the total number of bits per frame by using this formula. BT is equal to TF into R. TF represents the frame duration and R is the channel bit rate. The frame efficiency is calculated from this BOH and BT. So that is the overhead bit and the now total number of bits. Efficiency is equal to 1 minus BOH by BT into 100%. This is how we calculate the frame efficiency. So the number of the channel in the TDMA system can be provided by multiplying the number of slots by the number of channels available. So N is equal to M into BOT minus 2 B guard by BC. So M is the maximum number of TDMA users supported on each radio channel. Note that the two guard bands, one at the low end of the allocated frequency and one at the high end, are provided. They are required to ensure that the user at the edge of the band do not bleed into the adjacent radio service, so that there is no possibility for the interference to occur. So next is the CDMA, code division multiple access. In CDMA system, a narrow band message signal is multiplied by a very large bandwidth signal called the spreading signal. So message signal is multiplied by a very large bandwidth signal that is called the spreading signal. The spreading signal is usually a pseudo noise code sequence that has a chip rate which is orders of magnitude greater than the data rate of the message. All the user in the CDMA system uses the same carrier frequency and may transmit simultaneously. So each user, they will be having a pseudo random code which is approximately orthogonal to other code words. So each of the user has a code word which will not be matching with the other user pseudo random code word. So the receiver performs a time correlation operation to detect only the specific desired code word. So at the receiver end, there is a time correlation operation. Only if there is a correlation between the random code which is provided, there will be detection. If not, it will be taken as a, if not correlated, it will be taken as a noise. So for the detection of the message signal, the receiver needs to know about the code word used by the transmitter. So each user operates independently with no knowledge of the other user. So each of the user will be having a pseudo random code. Only these two persons will know about the pseudo random code which is provided. So there will be no connection between this and the other user. These two users will not know what code he is using and what code he is using. This is the basic of this CDMA technique. In CDMA technique, the power of multiple users at the receiver determines the floor after decorrelation. The power of each user within this not controlled in such a way they do not appear equal at the base station receiver. Then the near far problem occurs. So the near far problem is basically occurring when many mobile users shares the same channel. In general, the strongest received mobile signal will capture the demodulator at the base station. So in CDMA system, the stronger received signal level, it will be raising the noise floor at the base station demodulator for the weaker signal. Weaker signal, they will be getting other signals as a noise. So thereby decreasing the probability that weaker signal will be received. So to combat this near flow problem, power control is used in most CDMA implementation. So this power control is provided at each base station and cellular system, and it assures that each mobile within the base station coverage area provide the same signal level to the base station receiver. So this solves the problem, that is the power control provided the base station solves the problem of a nearby subscriber overpowering the base station receiver and drowning out the signals of far away subscriber. So this power control is implemented at the base station by rapidly sampling the radio signal strength indicator levels of each mobile and sending a power change command over the forward radio link. Despite the use of the power control within each of the cell, the out-of-cell mobiles provides interference which is not under the control of receiving base station. So the features of this CDMA system are that many users of the CDMA system share the same frequency, either time division duplex or frequency division duplex may be used. Unlike TDMA or FDMA, this CDMA technique is having a soft capacity limit. Increasing the number of user in this CDMA system, it is going to raise the noise floor in a linear manner. Thus, there is no absolute limit on the number of users in a CDMA. Rather, the system performance gradually degrades for all users as the number of users is increased and improves as the number of users is decreased. So the multipath fading may be substantially reduced because the signal is spread over the large spectrum. Because in CDMA you are using a large spectrum. If the spread spectrum bandwidth is greater than the coherence bandwidth of the channel, linear and frequency diversity will mitigate the effects of small scale fading. The channel data rates are very high in case of the CDMA system. Consequently, the symbol duration is very short and is usually much less than the channel delay spread. Since the pseudo noise sequence have low autocorrelation, multipath which is delayed by more than a chip will appear as noise. So the rate receiver can be used to improve the reception of the collecting time delayed version of the required signal. Since CDMA uses the core channel cells, it can use macroscopic spatial diversity to provide soft handoff. So it is using a core channel. So to provide the soft handoff, there will be a need of use of the macroscopic spatial diversity. The soft handoff is performed by the mobile station controller, which can simultaneously monitor a particular user from two or more base stations. So this mobile station controller could simultaneously it could monitor a particular user from two or more base station. Mobile station controller may choose the best version of the signal at any time without switching the frequencies. So self-jamming is a problem which is occurring in the CDMA system. It arises from the fact that spreading frequencies of different users are not exactly orthogonal. Hence, in respreading a particular pseudo random code, a non-zero contribution to the receiver decision statistic for a desired user arises from the transmission of other user in the system. So, other problem is the near-far problem occurring at the CDMA system if undesired user has a high detected power as compared to the desired user. So in case of the CDMA, there will be a self-jamming problem and a near-far problem which is occurring in a CDMA system. And this is all about the CDMA, code division multiple access technique. So in this video, we have seen about the frequency division multiple access, time division multiple access and the code division multiple access. Thank you.